Quaranteam, welcome. Today is day 28 of the income stream. Today I want to tell you about the differences between a barracuda, an elephant, and a flea. Hint, there is no difference. I'm here to answer your questions and keep the entertainment going. Welcome to the income stream.
This is the income stream to help you achieve your dream, all while we keep it clean. This is the income stream. It's the kind of show where you can come and go, but then you leave inspired with no fee required. The income stream with Flynn.
What's up, y'all? Welcome in. Thank you so much today. It is April. I don't even know what day or date it is. Oh, well, yes, I do, because yesterday was Easter. Thank you for those of you who came on yesterday. We gave shout outs to special members of the community, and I'm going to continue to do that, especially in milestone episodes or special days like yesterday being Easter. Today, I'm going to tell you a couple quick stories, then we're going to get into answering your questions, and most of all, we're going to have some fun. If this is your first time on the income stream, welcome. My name is Flynn, here to help you make more money, save more time, and help more people too. And what do we do here? We help you because, hey, it's crazy out there right now, and it doesn't look like we're going to end anytime soon. And guess what? I'm not. So long as we are in this crazy time in this world, unprecedented time, we are going to be here together. And whether you can catch every single one like many of the community members here that you're seeing in the chat already, or you can only come every once in a while, well, we're going to be here for you no matter what. It also holds me accountable to waking up in the morning like I always say, but most of all, it allows me to start the day of service to you, because that's what this is all about. As Mr. Rogers says, in times of crisis, always look for the helpers, and hopefully you can see that I'm one too, but you can be a helper too. Because that's what makes you a successful business owner or entrepreneur, or even just a person, when you help and serve others. I think it was somebody, Anne Frank once said, nobody's ever gotten poor by helping others. So let's continue to help each other out and be here. Thank you so much. I see some thumbs up coming in already. A lot of you are sort of in the know already, because we have a like goal today. And I'm going to share that like goal with you. A couple housekeeping items, storytelling, then Q&A. So here's the goal for today. The goal is 150 thumbs up. We're lowering it from last week. We didn't quite get to our 200 goal. We did once, actually, and I told you some great secrets about a secret book collection that I have. Can't share that anymore because you missed your opportunity. But I do want to tell you a crying story, a story where I cried, and it does relate to entrepreneurship. So I'm going to teach you about that. Was it a good thing? Was it a bad thing? I don't know. You're going to have to see. So that's our light goal for today. In addition, if you go to this website here, smartpassiveincome.com/toolkit, that'll take you to this page, which is our online business toolkit that we've created for this pandemic that's happening right now, including free resources from my team and I, including emergency podcast episodes, how to maintain your business during this time, what to do if you get laid off, how to start a freelancing career, and maybe supplement that income. In addition to that stimulus, which I don't know, anybody else get that yet? I hear that some people are already receiving it, some people not. And so tips for staying sane while working at home, Smart from Scratch, a course that we often sell for $249. It's free right now. It's free so long as we're in this crisis, and you can go and check that out if you haven't already. It's already helped a number of people here in the group start their businesses, which is really cool, or at least start the process of vetting and finding a niche to get into. So smartpassiveincome.com/toolkit. And then finally, patflynn.com/theincomestream. This is the link to go to every morning. You can come in early. Thank you, Mary, for giving me the idea to create a waiting room. You can come in early, chat with the community, have a lot of fun, and get to know each other too. So that is that. And as always, hashtag Team Flynn for the win. And looking forward to it. So let me tell you a quick story. And first of all, let me just welcome some of y'all in here because you guys are great. What's up, Michael? Thanks for being here. I also saw a super chat come in from Martin. Martin, thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate you. Always consistent. Mary in the house as well. We got Web Mamuranu, Ellen, and we got that Dan Norton in the house. Dan, by the way, is helping me create some clips from the income stream on the YouTube channel, the Income Stream Clips. He's posting them. He's editing them. They're great. Thank you, Dan. I appreciate you, my friend. Jennifer of TechniGen, Deb in the house, and a couple others. Gail, AV, always reliable. We got Xenia and Vlada in the house. Yo, I got poor helping others, Pat. Topic of the day, haha. Hey, just keep going. That's what it's all about. Elton in the house. What's up, Elton? Kate and Karma. April, the Quaranteam Slack group was very active this weekend. We all had a blast helping each other. If you don't know, there's a Slack group that was created for the income stream. I didn't create it. Y'all did, which is awesome. I think that's really cool. So thank you for that. I think E or Rap and Combat or a few others perhaps started it, but I thought that was really, really cool. So, all right. Whoa.
Bruh.
That's hot. That's hot coffee. I literally just poured it, so let's not do that again. Okay. I need to tell you about the difference between a barracuda, a flea, and an elephant. You might think there's a lot of differences, but in fact, the thing I'm about to tell you about, hint, there is no difference. So first, let me tell you about a flea. And I learned this from Zig Ziglar. Hey, Archer in the house with a super chat. Thank you so much for that, my friend. Old Reliable. So let me tell you about a flea. And I heard this story from Zig Ziglar. So imagine you have a cylinder, a clear cylinder, and you pop a flea there on the bottom. A flea can jump very high. Actually, I don't even know. I was about to look that up, but I'm not because I don't want to waste your time. But a flea can jump really high, right? That's how they go from animal to animal. They jump really high. Well, imagine it jumps maybe nearly to the top of this cylinder. And what you do to experiment is you place a glass ceiling halfway down. And so what happens? The flea jumps, it hits the glass ceiling, hits its head, it goes, oh, comes back down, jumps again, hits its head. Oh, what's going on? Bruh, there's something here. I can't jump any further. So a couple days later, it's still jumping, hitting its head, and then you remove the glass ceiling. What happens? The flea will only jump as high as where that glass ceiling once was. That's it. It's not going to go any higher as it could before. So that limitation that was set by others, even though it was lifted, has still kept that flea not jumping as high. Now let me tell you about a barracuda. A barracuda in a tank. I heard this story from Michael Hyatt at the Platform U conference. Speaking of Platform U, Platform University. Actually, this was Platform after he wrote his book in 2013. That since turned into a membership community, Platform University, which sometimes I'm a guest in there. I love that community. John Meese is doing a great job managing it. Founded by Michael Hyatt. Well, he told a similar story related to a barracuda. If you put a barracuda in a large tank, imagine even like a pool, and it has freedom to swim all around the pool, right? Well, if you put a barrier in the center so that the barracuda is only on one half, it swims only in that half, and boom, it bumps its head every once in a while. Even though it has very sharp teeth, being a barracuda, boom, it bumps its head in the barrier. A couple days later, you take off that barrier. Guess what? The barracuda will only remain on the half that it was in before, after that barrier was in place, even after it was lifted out. So very similar thing. Instead of a ceiling, it's a barrier. And the final story I have to tell you about is an elephant. And if you've read my book, Let Go, you know this is the case. In the book, by the way, I do not condone controlling or experimenting with animals in such a way that I'm talking about right now, but I'm just saying this is a story to help teach a lesson. In the book, Let Go, that I wrote about how I got let go from my architecture job in 2008 and then had to let go of who I was in order to become the entrepreneur that I am today and be here today. Very similar story with elephants. Unfortunately, when elephants are trained for things like circuses, terrible, or riding for tourism, terrible. Anyway, again, I do not condone that. I'm not a fan. But what happens is they tie the elephant down to a stake in the ground that they couldn't pull out when they're young, right? And they know to do this at a young age because they know that when the elephant grows big, even though it could completely just tear that stake out of the ground and run away, it doesn't, because it was trained early on. It was conditioned to believe that it couldn't break free. And so I want you to consider, what are the conditions that are put onto us in our own lives? And this is a question that I have for you to just answer to yourself. How have you been conditioned earlier in life? And how has that changed your behavior today? And when I got let go, it was conditioning from middle school to high school to college to my architecture career to what society says, to what my parents told me, to what other people were doing, to not wanting to feel left out, to not realizing I wasn't qualified, to having gone to school for architecture for 5 years. All that stuff is conditioning for me to want to stay into architecture. And even though I had started a business in the architecture space online to help people pass an exam, and even though it was making $25,000, $30,000 a month after 6 months of starting that business, guess what? I was still looking for architecture jobs. I was still going into interviews once the economy started to come back. I was still doing that. It wasn't until my boss called me one day, the same boss that let me go, and he said, Pat, I have a proposal to you. I brought our coworkers back. I started my own firm. We have the same clients that we had before. They came over to me because they wanted to stick with me. And I'm going to offer you a raise. I'm going to offer you a corner office. I'm going to offer you a pay raise and a promotion. And I'm going to pay for 1 year's rent for you for free to come back. I was in San Diego. This was in Irvine, California. He's like, I want you to come back. I really want you to come back. We're going to set you up nicely. And I said, thanks, but no thanks. And that was the moment. That was the moment that I realized, because that was my first intuition, that I don't think I should say yes, because I knew that this new path was better, so I can climb this new ladder, because I fully let go of the other one. You can't fully climb a ladder until you after you've started one and you still have that foot on the other one. So that's a story to you. Hopefully you can realize that a lot of this stuff, the fear, the resistance, the self-doubt, the self-sabotage, the procrastination, is that coming from something that you've been conditioned that isn't actually who you want to be? That's a story for you. All right. So let's get into Q&A. Thank you so much for being here. And let's drop the link. Actually, RNC, Earn. I think you have a link to the Slack group. Let me put it in here. I have to approve it, by the way, because it is even though you say .com on it, it still is something. So there it is, quaranteamsuperfans.slack.com. Cool. I just posted the Slack group. No, we don't. I don't need to be in it. Not that I don't want to be in it. This is our time. This is our time. That's your time. It's almost like, when you work a 9 to 5, you're hanging out with your coworkers, you're having a good time, and the boss walks in, and it's like, oh, shh, Pat's here. We don't want that. So you guys just enjoy that Slack group, enjoy that communication. I am here for you. You guys can go in there and decompress after, reshare the stuff that you learned, and enjoy each other's company there too. So yeah, there you go. All right, so let's go into some Q&A. Whatever questions you have about anything, it could be about barracudas. In fact, I've caught several barracuda in the past. My dad and I used to fish literally every weekend in high school. That was one of my best memories. I used to go surfing every day after school too. That was really cool too. And now the beaches are closed in San Diego. All right. Liz says, I needed to hear your story. I'm holding on to an old pattern. Time to let it go. Thank you. That's right. As you can see right here, actually the other view is better, but I was going to point out that book, Let Go. Yeah, it's actually better right there. By the way, our light goal for today, we're already halfway through. 150 to hear a crying story at 150 likes. We are currently I am seeing 83, perhaps even more at this point, because it's a little bit delayed there, but let's keep going. So I see a question here from Chris. Question, how long before publishing a book do you announce it? Can you talk a bit more about that pre-launch and promotion period? Yes, absolutely. I will let people know that I'm working on a book the moment I start writing it. That's when promotion starts. I'm not telling them to go anywhere. I don't have a link yet. No, I'm just letting people in on the process, because when they're in on the process, they get invested in the process. They get involved, perhaps even, hey guys, I have an ordeal today. I'm trying to decide between this name for a chapter or this name for a chapter. Which one seems more exciting to you? Boom, 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 boom. You're getting all this participation. You're getting the poll numbers. But you know what else you're getting? You're getting to seed that you have this book coming out. This could be for anything, by the way, a podcast, a blog that you might be coming out, a website that might be coming out, a YouTube channel that you're going to start, but of course, definitely a book. I would also recommend seeing how maybe 4 or 5 months before, if possible, should you be going that long. Kelly, thank you so much for that. I'll get to that question in just a minute, but thank you for the super chat. All super chats, by the way, get donated to the San Diego Food Bank. We've already crushed our goal from March, and I can't wait to tally up the numbers at the end. By the way, I have a quick letter to read to you, probably in about 15 minutes at the half-hour mark. I'm going to share something with you that I received that I think is going to be fun for us to read. But anyway, going back to the book launch process, I would absolutely go to the Smart Passive Income blog, type into the search bar how to promote a book or book launch or book marketing. There are, I think, a half a dozen episodes of the Smart Passive Income podcast specifically about book marketing. In fact, I'm actually going to go there right now and show you not that. I'm going to show you a post that could actually be quite helpful to you. Actually, I was already on smartpassiveincome.com. I'm going to go to the search bar. I'm going to look up Will It Fly Report. Hopefully this shows up. And yes, so this episode here, 383, is an audio income report from how much did Will It Fly make and the process by which that was promoted and marketed. Will It Fly is another book of mine. It was launched in 2016 about how to start a business and find a niche idea before spending a ton of time and money on it. And it became a Wall Street Journal bestseller, even as a self-published book. So we poured in a lot of love into this episode to help you. And in addition, we shared how much money it made. And in fact, you're going to be quite surprised about how much money it made versus the Audible version. And then there's just a lot of great information there about that too. So make sure you check that out. And then finally, a book launch team was really helpful. This came about 4 or 3 months before the book launch. So that means just getting a bunch of people who are interested on a higher level than others in getting in on the process more, maybe even getting early access to parts of the manuscript, perhaps the whole thing. All this sort of being a part of the team, being for in exchange of some sharing on launch day, some reviews that come in on launch day, some just hype building and social proof. That can go a really long way. And you don't need a huge launch team either. I've seen people very successfully launch a book with a launch team of just like 20 people, friends included, who are there to support on that day. Guys, we're gonna crush our launch goal today. We're already at 110 and we need 150. I don't know what it is today, but maybe it's because it's Monday, you're wanting and hungry to get back into things. Sue with the super chat, thank you so much for that. I appreciate you for being here, Sue, and for your support. Cool, so let's go back to that, there it is right there, bam. So let's get back to that super chat from Kelly, and let's see if we can pop that in here because that was a question as well. I do prioritize the questions that come in via super chat for sure. So here we go. Hi Pat, I'm taking your pop class, Power Up Podcasting. I really have a fear of failing. What is a website? Is a website a must? Can I just do the podcast? Maybe I can create a landing page. So number one, first let's talk about the technicalities and then we'll talk about the fear thing. By the way, just so that Kelly can see, how many of you when you started your thing, did you have fear too? Let me know in the chat, just so Kelly knows that she's not alone. But let's talk about the technicalities of it. Do you need a website to have a podcast? Technically, no, you do not. You just need your hosting platform like Buzzsprout. If you'll notice in PUP, I promote Buzzsprout. Also, Libsyn is a great one. No matter what it is you use, although those two are my recommendations, yes, you can absolutely just have the podcast alone because those hosting companies give you what's called an RSS feed, and that's the magic link that you want to tattoo on your forehead that you give to, don't actually do that, to Apple, to Stitcher, to Spotify, and all those places. That's what they need. You don't need a website. However, having a website can be really great because it becomes a place to become the home that you get to control for your podcast. It becomes something that allows your episodes to be found in Google search a little bit easier. And it becomes a place where you're able to start to build an email list. It becomes a place where should you choose to want to do something that's a little bit more easily consumed via text, well, you can write it there in a blog post. You can mention that on your podcast. And if people find that blog post, you can mention that you have a podcast and you can cross promote from there and add a blog component to it afterwards. However, not required at the start. I would say put the blinders on and put all focus on starting your podcast. Yet a landing page, like you had mentioned, is a very smart thing to do because at least in the meantime, you can, number one, have people see that you have a podcast coming out. You mention the landing page and you can collect emails. Make sure you sell the upcoming podcast. When we do our website reviews here, right? Website reviews. When we do our website reviews, one of the common themes here is when you are collecting emails, most people are not, at least the ones that we've reviewed, really driving home the reason why to subscribe. And it's got to be more than just, oh, I have a podcast coming out soon. It's got to be more than that. It's got to be, well, what's going to be in the podcast? What am I going to miss out if I don't subscribe? What kinds of guests might I be looking to see or look forward to hearing on the show? That's what you can do on the landing page. So if you have ConvertKit, for example, you could just easily create a landing page, collect emails ahead of time, and then when you launch, you're gonna have, boom, already a load of emails that you could send your launch day emails to and have some listeners there on day one already, like I teach in the course. Secondly, you're gonna have the ability to continue to connect with them, to interact with them, to build your email list even more, even after the show. So in your show, hey, come to the website. And for right now, it's just a landing page where you can subscribe to some tips and some other things, maybe a lead magnet, or worst case scenario, just again, continuing to, hey, if you want to get notified directly when these episodes come out. And then when new episodes come out, you're going to have even more. And then build that list even more. New episodes come out, even more. So yeah. So let me go down and scroll and see who has had the fear. I think we've all had the fear for sure. What would you fear most, Kelly? Would you fear more not doing it? Or would you fear more the, thank you, who was that? That just came in with a super chat down below. We got James, the solar energy expert, and Cheryl. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. People are going to be fed because of you. I appreciate that. So, Kelly, to fear, number one, what would you fear more? Putting yourself out there and having people listen to your show. Or not putting yourself out there and realizing that you are not helping anybody. And the possibilities that could come in terms of service and in terms of what it could do for you in your business. Probably the latter, right? When you frame it that way, it can be, oh, okay, well, there's actually more fear in not doing this. So that's a strategy that a lot of people use to get over fear. A second strategy is to, number two, realize that there's other people that have done this before you. There's no reason that you can't do it other than you getting in your own way. So that's number two. Number three, you have to have fear because that means it's important to you. If you've read The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield, I mean, amazing book. Just don't read it in front of your kids. There's a lot of nasty Gary Vee-like language in there. But an amazing read because it really deconstructs why we feel this way. And he essentially just comes up with the thesis that, hey, this fear, this self-doubt, that self-sabotage that you have is actually a sign that this is important to you. So this is a good thing. I would try to rewrite that story in your brain from fear to excitement because guess what? The same parts of your brain, they've studied this, it's proven, the same parts of your brain fire up when you are fearful and when you are excited. The literal same parts of your brain. So you can tell yourself that this nervousness is actually excitement versus just fear that's likely going to hold you back. Did you know you were only born with two fears? The fear of falling and the fear of loud noises. Fear of falling and the fear of loud noises. We know this because if you take a baby, don't just take random babies to experiment with this, but if you take a baby and you pretend to fall with it, you're playing with it. What do a baby's arms do? Whoopsh. They like come out like that, and there's actually sound effects that happen when you do that too. Whoopsh. They come out because they try to catch themselves, right? And then the other thing is if there's loud noises, they kind of like punch like just sort of out of reflex. And that's just innate built to us. All other fears are brought to us from others, which means we can unlearn those things. They're not innate. So that I would just want to encourage you, Kelly, to keep going because you have to be a disaster before you become the master. You have to be the disaster before you become the master. Cool? Cool. Man, big shout outs to Cheryl and James for the super chats there. I appreciate you. And I'm going to take a sip of coffee because it's going to get cold and I need to take a breath. Cool. That's a cool little, what do they call those? I don't even know what they call them. Pattern interrupts. But I mean, there's a term for just like little fillers like that. Maybe filler, is it? In the broadcasting world. But hey, here we are. Cool. We got 198 people watching live. That is amazing. Thank you so much. I love the bra crowd here. That is great. And let's keep going. So Coach Constance says... what are your thoughts on copyrights and legal? Seems like nothing has been said in the old days of copywriting, now not so much. Thoughts about what you want others to know. So copyrights and legal. Seems like nothing has been said in old days of lots of copywriting. So copywriting versus copyrights, those are two different things. So I'm not quite sure, Coach Constance, what exactly you're asking about in terms of, are there any specifics around the world of legal and copyright? I mean, I think having somebody on your team in terms of legal, not on your team, but at least an attorney that you can reach out to. And plus, there's a lot of great resources on places like LegalZoom. I even once hired an attorney to write up some documents for me on elance.com. Or Upwork, excuse me. It was Elance back then, but it's Upwork.com. And there's a lot of people out there who can help for whatever legal issues you might have. My first experience with somebody legal was related to a cease and desist letter that I got. Woo! Cease and desist, which was because I was using a domain name with a trademark in it, which I didn't know I wasn't supposed to do. Again, you don't know when you start like all the things, but you can learn as you go. And I just saw this letter and I freaked out and I almost quit. Like literally, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in over my head. I shouldn't be a business owner. Of course this happened to me, especially when things started happening and things were great. This happens. Oh, I'm done. I'm doomed. But Solomon, thank you for the donation. I appreciate that. But of course, it was not as huge as I thought it was. Hiring this attorney helped me just filter through all the legal jargon and have them go, okay, well, this is what you need to do. I did a permanent 301 redirect to a new domain. It went from inthelead.com because lead was the name of the exam. I thought that was clever. In the lead, LEED. I changed that to Green Exam Academy, and that worked out. And by the way, that website is still 12 years later making money today, completely 100% hands off, which is kind of ridiculous. I've removed myself from that industry, but I still continue to serve them by now not creating my own products. 100% of the income from that website now is actually through affiliate marketing. So I promote a product that I know is going to continually be updated from the Green Building Education Services platform. And I no longer create my own. Actually, there was a time when I both had my study guide that was up to date and this affiliate opportunity. And, it started like this. So this is this hand, my right hand, which is on the left side of your screen. This is my income from my own products, and this is affiliate marketing. So it started like this. It was like, that was a terrible example. That didn't go the way I thought. But anyway, affiliate marketing overtook the amount of sales that I was making for my own product. Anyway, that I don't know if that made sense or not. Man, that coffee's good when it's not scorching hot. Rafal, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate you. And Solomon, live streaming tips after 28 days in a row. This is a great question. We got 3 minutes, and so I'm going to read you a letter, a very special letter from somebody. Thanks to you, actually. So yes, 28 days. After 28 days, I've realized that, hey, you get better and more comfortable the more often you do something. How about that? Isn't that incredible? So that's just a big lesson to, hey, just keep doing it. You're gonna get better. And I looked back at my old streams, even after 3 weeks into this, I looked back at my old streams. I was like, well, what am I doing? It was a little cringeworthy, even though it still was able to provide value. There was still a way for us to communicate, and over time, it's just continued to grow and grow and grow, which I thought was really cool. So that just speaks so highly to just keep going no matter what, right? And it's been nice to have something consistent to wake up to every single day. In terms of the interactions, I've been trying to work really hard to make sure to mention people's names versus saying words like you guys and hey everybody. Now, I do say that every once in a while here because we are in a live group and we can see everybody here at the same time. But you've likely seen videos of me or heard me preach this before, where if you are doing something where an individual will only be there to watch or listen or read at one time, then use words like you or your in the copy or the messaging, because a person who's consuming it is not going to be with another group. Still, even on lives though, saying words like you work a really long way. So, hey, you are doing an awesome job because we are very close to our like goal today already, which means we're going to unlock a new story here at the end of the chat here. We're only going to go to the top of the hour here. By the way, we got our 2 thumbs downs for the day. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate you because, hey, we don't want it to look too perfect. So thank you for making the stream look even better. Appreciate that. All right, there was a question or comment from Constance again, I think following up. Oops, nothing has not been said. Not that you have not said anything about this topic. Okay, cool. So it seems like we're good there. Just let me know if you need any more clarification. KFam5 says, I have a son who says being an entrepreneur or making money for his work in graphic art designs is like selling out. Not sure where that came from. Other kids, recommendations, vids, books. I think it just comes from the independent artist community, right? We've seen this with things like musicians, right? When musicians start making money or they start signing deals, it's like, oh, you've sold out. You've gone to the dark side. You're working for the man now. Bruh, what's going on, right? And that's kind of where that comes from. And it's just one of those things where like you're no longer doing it for the right reasons. That's really what that means. You're doing it for the money, man. You're not doing it for the art anymore. But the way that I like to reframe this is if you are an entrepreneur, by definition, you have to make money because you can no longer serve people if you are broke. You can't serve people if you are broke. It is actually wise for you to make money, to build a business model so that you can generate more income, so that you can help more people. For an artist in particular who might say that to me, hey man, I don't like that you're teaching artists how to make money because that's selling out. Oh yeah? Well, how might you be able to create better, more grand, more amazing art with more money? Would that help you do more of what you love to do? How might you get in front of more audience? How might you have your artwork be seen by more people if you had more money? Would you be able to do that? Absolutely. So you're selling yourself short. Ooh, that was good. You're not selling out. You're selling yourself short. You don't begin to generate income. Because number one, you deserve to make money. And it looks like the connection. Are we still good here? I lost the chat. I'm not. Did I lose the chat? No, we didn't lose the chat. I lost the connection to my iPad though. My sidecar got away from me. That's what it was. Okay. We are still live, which is good. So I got to restructure my screen here. Hey, 3 thumbs down. That's like a record today. I appreciate you for that. All right. Chat's going wild, by the way. Still here. Okay, cool. Yeah, my so how I have this set up, I don't know if you could see this, but actually let me go to the other screen. Boom. So this is the setup here. Rodecaster Pro, Stream Deck, computer with y'all are there. And then I have the iPad here, which you can use, if you have an iPad Pro, you can use it as a sidecar, which means you can have it as a second screen. And I put all my comments onto there. It's like literally right here. I'm tapping on it right now. You can see it on the front screen here. And that shows the comments. So I don't even know where to look anymore. And for whatever reason, that's timed out. So I don't know what's going on. But yeah, we got this. We got this. So, hey, we reached our like goal already. Wow, I was selling you guys short today. Speaking of selling short, I didn't think we'd get there, but we did, and it's awesome. So, hey, we got to our like goal. So I'll tell you that story a little bit later at the end, but it's a crying story. A story that made me cry. Is it good? Is it bad? I've had both in my life, including about business, but hey, we'll see what it is. Hey, one of the thumbs downs went away. I didn't know they could be taken away. That's interesting. Okay, so let's get to the letter that I was going to share with you. This letter says April 1st, 2021. Patrick Flynn, address here. Dear Patrick, I don't know why it says Patrick. On behalf of the Jacobs and Cushman San Diego Food Bank, but more importantly, those we serve, please accept my sincere gratitude for your recent donation. You have provided 1,026 meals to our hungry neighbors. Please know you are helping them be more successful in school and in work and helping them enjoy the important moments in life. And there's more information here. But P.S., your support for the food bank is helping provide emergency food for vulnerable populations impacted by the disease. For more information, go here. So this is a letter not just to me, but to you, because this wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for you and all the super chats that came in March. So we're going to crush that goal here. Dude, E, are you serious? Hey, thank you so much for that, E. I appreciate you. Speaking of donations and money going to those who are in need right now, there we go. There's no fee required here to be here, actually. You don't have to leave a super chat. Please don't feel bad if you don't ever leave one. You don't need to do that. But I will happily accept and push it forward to those who are absolutely in need. So Rap and Combat, E, thank you so much. So in terms of fear and consistency, this is exactly why I brought up doing a group 28-day #journal challenge for our Quaranteam Slack group, because fear is robbing many of us. Bro, love you, Pat. Love to your family as well. Love you too, my friend. Thank you so much. Bro. Incredible generosity here in the group. So let's keep it going. Let's keep this going. Did you mention you have a Slack group? How do you get the invite? So I think it's, I lost the link here. So E, if you wanted to post it back in, we can do that. I don't know. I forgot what the link is, because I'm not in. This was self-created by the group. How awesome is that? The Quaranteam showed up. All right, let's get to some more questions. Francis says, T-shirt idea, my sidecar got away from me. That is funny, with a little sidecar. Whenever I see sidecar, I'm reminded of two images, like a sidecar from a motorcycle, right? I'm reminded of one of those Indiana Jones movies where Indy and his dad are there with the sidecar, and they're going and with the motorcycle, and they're being chased. So that's number one. And number two, for whatever reason, that image then changes to Jamie and Adam from Mythbusters sitting in those cars instead, with obviously, Jamie sitting on the wheel. I don't know why that's the case. All right, your position, the thumbs down, nicely, Pat. But I just don't get that. If they don't want to be here, they have the choice to move on. Hey, you know what? If I can be an outlet for people, if they're having a bad day, that's totally fine. I mean, that exists in the world. I get it. If you're having a bad day, it's easy to just kind of deflect that and put it onto somebody else, and that's totally okay. And probably maybe somebody's doing that as a favor to me. I don't know. I like it. I enjoy it. Thank you so much. So if you wanted to make me upset, give me some more thumbs up instead. Corey says, nice seeing you here at James Solar Energy Expert. There's a resource somewhere that covers all the equipment, camera on this YouTube or on the site. Yeah, so perhaps this was a question related to where might you find out what I'm using for the stuffs. So if you go to patflynn.com/live setup, you're going to see the equipment that I use. In addition, wow, 1.2K shares. That's insane. It's definitely the most shared post here on my new branded website, patflynn.com. So Ecamm Live, camera setup, all the stuff. In addition to the stuff that I use, I have here stuff that's more budget friendly too. So it's not like you have to have this boom arm that you see here, boom, 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 and some other things that maybe are a little bit more expensive, but I've worked my way up here for sure. You definitely don't need any of this stuff. You can just start streaming with, guess what? Your phone. You just start streaming with your phone. I don't know why I whispered that. That's a little creepy. So I apologize about that. Hamal says, hey, Pat, what do you suggest a teenager to do to start making money on the net? Share the video URL suggest to start with. I would definitely recommend getting into Smart from scratch right now. If you go to this website here, you can actually get in for free right now. It's normally $249. You can get in for free. It'll give you the process by which you can vet ideas, take these ideas and turn them into something actually tangible. How to do market research properly to find your position, including an exercise called the market map, which is very popular within the group. And so that's where I would start, because it's going to give you some specific steps to start with and understand why this is important. In fact, in addition, I think for a teenager specifically, you have one thing that is in favor of your situation versus others, and that's time. You have the ability to make mistakes and fail with even less on the line. There's nothing to lose. There's hardly anything to lose. And in most cases, there isn't as much to lose as there is to gain. But for you in particular, being a teenager, is Isaiah in the house here as well? Another 15-year-old in the house getting started on his business too. That's been very consistent here in the chat. I didn't see him in today yet, but just definitely take those bold actions required, and realize that your age doesn't matter. I think that you could either use it to your advantage or not even mention it at all. It doesn't really matter. What matters is, how are you getting into a space and helping people? How are you showing up for them? How are you providing value to and answering the questions that they might have? It doesn't matter what niche it is. That, everybody needs help, but it is important to find your position within a niche, to find that space and to find your specialty. And this is the time to start honing in on those skills for sure. I am new here, says Ali. Ali, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. Awesome. Question from Xenia and Vlada. How do I know how to price my services when I can't properly judge my experience, skills, and the value for my work? So number one, you're going to have to understand what value you have to offer, because how are you going to sell this thing if you don't understand the value you have to offer? Outside of price, what I mean is, how are you going to convince somebody else on the other end that what you have is of value? No matter what the price might be, you have to understand the kinds of things that you have to offer and what it's going to do for people. For example, with my Power Up Podcasting course, I know exactly what a podcast can do for people. I know because I've experienced that before, but also because over time I've seen what it can do for others and what it's done. For example, Sophie Walker, somebody who came in, 0 email, 0 audience, and has built an amazing business completely out of her Australian Birth Stories podcast, now surpassing 3 million downloads of her show, literally starting from scratch. So if you don't yet have an understanding of truly what that value is because you're trying something new, well, here's the secret, and you've heard this before. Get one person, one result. They will make it very clear how valuable or not valuable this thing is. Plus, it's going to push you to get those things done, to actually follow through on your services, and to hear back just how much a person would have paid should they get that for free or for a discounted price. How much do you think this is worth to you now that you've seen these results? That's a question that you might ask. And that way, you have a real-life testimonial and case study to see how you can help others join too. In addition, I would definitely look to see what other competitors perhaps that you might have in the space are charging as well. This will give you sort of a foundation and a good range of what people are paying. In the market map exercise in Smart from Scratch, the third P, there's people, places, and products. In the products one, try to collect the prices as well, because that'll give you a good range of what people are typically paying for in that industry, and that'll give you a good sense of where your offering will stack. I would recommend, however, to go more premium and higher, especially if it's more consultation services, coaching, that kind of thing. Versus what I did, I was like, okay, well, hey, there's all these study guides out there that are being sold for hundreds of dollars. I'm going to be the cheap one. And you don't want to do that because there's a perceived value in price. When you price something small, there's a perceived value that, well, I guess this isn't as valuable. And you have to find that balance, right? You have to find that balance. I remember I sold my study guide for $19.99. This is the architecture study guide. And a customer reached out to me who was a business owner who said, Pat, thank you for helping me pass the exam. Let me give you some advice in return. You are undercharging for this guide. And so it was one of my own customers that said, hey, you should charge more because it just seems like you have a cheap offering that's almost trying to just play on how cheap it is as your marketing strategy versus just how valuable it actually is. So it wasn't until I actually finally heard from a customer. Thankfully, this person reached out to me, but I definitely think that as you begin to get results, you can reach out to others to see what that value is. I ended up increasing the price. And in fact, when I increased the price, more customers came through. More customers showed up the higher the price was. Now, there's obviously a ceiling because what if I charged $10,000 for that study guide? Well, nobody would have bought it, obviously. But there's a range there. And I was definitely trying to play the low, cheap route, and I was hurting myself as a result of that. Great question, though. Grandma Goody says, also, trying to get one person, one result will tell you if it doesn't work. Hard to hear, but very valuable to know to pivot. Yes, absolutely. And the cool thing is, if you fail with one person, good thing it was with one person, right? And then you can learn and pivot from there, like Grandma Goody says. Thank you, Connie, for that. That's such great advice because, yes, it's going to teach you some stuff. And should it just, by the way, fail is not a bad thing. Fail is a part of the process of entrepreneurship. That's the other thing, to not have to rely on that perfection part of your brain to think that you have to make all the right moves. In fact, you have to make moves. That's the big difference between an entrepreneur who wins and an entrepreneur who fails. An entrepreneur who fails avoids failing. How funny is that? Versus an entrepreneur who wins takes action and just makes moves. They make moves with learning from their previous experiences in mind. Christoph says, how do you keep up with the chat while you are live, while keeping the live going? Well, I don't know. First of all, kudos to all of y'all for making it interesting in there while I'm answering a question. So the chat continues to go on. I obviously don't get to every single question. I can't address every single person. If you're just starting out and if you have a small group of people, well, then you're more likely able to do that and do a much better job than me with that. However, I'm definitely able to keep up with the chat because I have Ecamm here, which makes it nice and easily organized, and it allows me to scroll up and down between the questions that were asked before, and I can go up, and it looks like we got a super chat from Shuckabuck. Hey, thank you so much for that super chat. I appreciate you. And Ecamm will notify me when I get things like super chats, which should pop up here in just a moment if it's working properly. But Eric, thank you so much for that, and I'll answer your question in just a moment. But yeah, I mean, I think this, again, just comes with practice, Christoph. It's just something that comes with over time. And I don't know, I've just learned to kind of not multitask because that doesn't really exist, but just to be able to learn how to focus on you when I'm answering a question and then go back to the chat and focus on finding one really quick. There it is, Eric. Thank you so much for that. And let's get to that question right now, by the way. So, do you ever use funnels with a tripwire, upsells, etc. when selling digital products? Or would you recommend giving value in selling full price courses? Well, Eric, for the 12 years I've been doing business, and for the 3 years I've been selling my own stuff. Honestly, I haven't been selling my own stuff for a very long time relative to how long I've just been in business. How was I making money earlier? Well, it was a combination of affiliate marketing, which means recommending other people's products, and advertising and sponsorships. But for now, I've been really digging into my own products because I finally listened to everybody and finally gained the confidence. Yes, I did not have the confidence to create my own products. I was shipping people off to elsewhere. Oh, you want to start a podcast? Go to somebody else to do it because I think they're great. And I get a little bit of a commission. That's great. But it wasn't until y'all stepped up and said, hey, Pat, I want to hear from you. I want to learn from you. I like your style. that things finally started to happen more exponentially from there. But to answer your question, it was just simply no tripwire, as much free information as possible, and relying on providing so much value that a person would not want to do anything else but continue to work with me and go deeper and get more access and get into these one-off products, right? However, tripwires, I don't like that term, by the way, because a tripwire, what is that really? It's like look, I'm going to walk in the forest and tripwire, boom, you're going to explode. That's not a good thing. But what a tripwire is, for those of you who don't know, is essentially a lower tiered price item that allows you to find out who the buyers are. You do give value in that tripwire. It might be similar to a lead magnet, but it might be anywhere from a $9 product to a $99 product, a lower tier price item that then allows you to serve them a little bit, help them get a little result that they were looking for, and then you sell them into the bigger thing after that. That's a tripwire or an upsell opportunity for sure. Whether that upsell opportunity happens immediately or after a person gets a result, that's kind of up for grabs. There's a lot of different ways to market. There's some really good books out there related to this kind of stuff that's a little bit more advanced, like .com Secrets from Russell Brunson and those kinds of people from the ClickFunnels crew. Really amazing stuff related to this kind of thing. But we are going to be experimenting, however, with some tripwires, in a sense, but we're going to make them so valuable that they could stand on their own. And that's really the process there. James, thank you so much for the question. I'll get to that in just a minute. And the super chat's going to help a lot of people who are in need right now. But yeah, we're going to be experimenting with some live workshops that will be essentially the tripwire that a person can get everything they need there. However, if they want to go deeper, they can come with us later. And we have not done that yet personally. However, I know a ton of people in the online space who do that, and they do it very well, very gracefully. And I definitely think it's going to, for you in particular, I don't know your situation, but I think it could just take some experimentation. I know that's like the cop-out answer in online business. Which one do I do? Oh, well, experiment, just test. That's always the answer. Well, that's kind of a cop-out answer, but that is the answer because it's the truth. Like, you're going to have to find out what works for you and your audience. All right, we got a super chat coming from James. Do you make more sales from a payment recurring plan than someone buying full price outright? So this is a great question because when you sell, let's take an online course, for example. Let's just use some nice round numbers. You could do an online course that you sell for $120, right? $120, or I can sell it for $10 a month for 12 months, right? For a year. So payment plan versus the one-time payment. So there's two sides to this coin, right? Hey, you're going to make more money if you sell a person full price, $120. And even though you may choose to, and there's a third sort of situation here, which I'll talk about in just a second. So I could sell my course for $120, or I can sell it for $10 a month for 12 months. Now, you might have more people get in because paying $10 to get access to that is a lot cheaper than paying $120. However, you're also going to have people, even though more people come in, you're going to have more people drop out and not complete the 12-month cycle for various reasons. Number one, every month they see that bill is a time for them to question, oh, what is this for again? Oh, am I still getting value out of this? Was it still worth it? Okay, cool, I'm going to continue. Or, hey, can I actually cancel? That happens. People might cancel because their credit card expires, and that's a very common thing. So you're going to have to go and retrieve that, which adds some extra work to you. If you go 120, well, you know that people who pay 120 are, number one, more committed to the thing because they have more skin in the game. That doesn't mean a person who pays $10 isn't going to complete the course, but you are likely going to see people who drop a little bit more money actually complete it more often than people who just drop a little bit of money. Secondly, you're going to make sure that you complete those payments all the way through, right? This is just the one-time payment. You get the 120 and they're able to get it. But because it's a much higher thing, you're going to sort of reduce the amount of people who go in. So would it be better to offer both? That's a very common thing. Hey, you can get one or the other. But there's a third. Oftentimes, people will, to make up for the loss that people who get on the payment plan have, that people don't finish the 12-month, payment plan. And not all payment plans are 12-month, by the way. Sometimes there's a 6-month payment plan, 3-month, 2-month. The 1 month is the one time, obviously. But oftentimes, marketers will increase the price of the recurring payment to essentially make up for the cost and of those who drop out, and better position the one-time payment. Because I think all in all, we want the one-time payment because that just essentially guarantees that income. However, so for example, what I might do is charge $120 one time or $12 a month for 12 months. And if they go and go one time, that would save them, $24, right? I think if my math is correct. Did I get that correct? I'm not sure. You check my work for me. Karma, you're the cash flow guy. You let me know. But yeah, so you can say, hey, you can save $24 or X% by paying one time instead. And that can often work out really well. I will say, however, that, and this is my final point here, so I'm really in love with like these kinds of things. The other thing to do is if you're ever going to be launching your product, perhaps in a webinar or on stage, for example, if you have a payment plan and the one-time payment, oftentimes we go, hey, you can go, here's the one-time payment, or you can get into the payment plan. You actually want to flip-flop this. This was something I learned from Chalene Johnson, and that is you first start with the payment plan option and then go the one-time payment for a couple reasons. Number one, the juxtaposition between what you've probably just previously done right before you mentioned the price, which is, hey, you can get this elsewhere for this amount. You can hire a coach to teach you podcasting for thousands of dollars, but here's my course, which you can get at this price. Most people, like I said, go with the one-time. Here's the one-time payment, boom. Or secondary, you can go with the payment plan. No, you want to reverse that because that price point juxtaposition with the single payment plan makes it seem much more like a deal, because it is, because you can get everything. I don't believe in dripping content out in a membership or an online course. So it might be like, so let's say I was doing this $120 product, right? I'm on a webinar, I'm going to promote it. I can say, hey, you can get all this today and lifetime access to it, plus all this, and you're gonna learn how to do this X, Y, and Z for as low as $12 today. That's part of a payment plan for 12 months, or you can save $24 by going one-time payment at $120. Versus, hey, you can get this for $120, or you can pay $12 a month, which costs a little bit more. You see the difference there? There's a huge difference there in just positioning. But when you start with, oh my gosh, $12? Oh, okay, and then I could save money if I go one time. Okay, well, and then people can choose to go from there. So hopefully that makes sense. But there is a little bit of a messaging and positioning sort of situation going on there. Chris says, Pat is like the parent, and then the Slack group is the kids are left to be doing stuff by themselves. Yeah, that's why I don't want to be in there, because I don't want to, I mean, that's community driven, that's community led. And I would imagine that if I was in there, the conversations would be a little bit different. And I don't want that to happen. So that's why we're here versus the Slack group. How many people are in this Slack group? I honestly don't even have any idea. All right. Thank you, Ellen, for the suggestion. The book, The Automatic Customer, might be helpful for those looking into a subscription model. That's really cool. Finn, thank you so much. I was like, Flynn, but it's Finn. Eric, also with the super chat, but Finn, one for 50 sec. I'm not exactly sure what that is, but either way, thank you so much for that. Just listened to you on Crush It and then saw you were live. My man. Thank you so much for that, Finn. I appreciate that. Crushed It is where I was focused on, or featured it with Gary Vee, right? Crush It was Gary's first book. Crushed It or Crushing It? Is it Crushing It? I think it's Crushing It, right? Maybe it's Crushed It. Anyway, I was featured in his book. Very thankful to have had that opportunity. Thank you for being here, too. Hopefully you can see that I'm hopefully continuing to crush it. Hopefully you're crushing it, too. And then another super chat just came in from Eric. I just purchased the Ferrite Pro to record. What other software do I need to post my podcast for iPad Pro? Any tutorial vids for podcast via iPad Pro? All the tutorials that I have on YouTube, if you look up Pat Flynn podcasting tutorial, you'll see. The only difference will be instead of recording on GarageBand, which I do in the tutorials or in the course, you could also do it on Audacity if you're on a PC or just not happen to like GarageBand. But either way, the only difference would be, well, instead of editing there and exporting your MP3s there, you'd want to do it on your iPad Pro. So you can record into your iPad Pro. The nice thing is you can plug a mic via USB-C, which is really amazing, and you can record into Ferrite, which is great. And then what you want to do is you can choose to edit it there. I like still editing on the desktop if you choose to do that. Or you might have a team member that will just take that file, in which case you can just upload it straight from your iPad Pro to Dropbox or Google Drive or whatever they're going to get access to then edit it. But I would much rather, because it's going to be much faster, edit on my desktop. So I would take the thing from iPad Pro. Let's say, for example, I'm going on to a conference and I don't want to bring my entire setup. I might record on my Ferrite Pro account and with my iPad Pro, record that interview, and then when I get home, airdrop it to my computer and then deal with it from there. Brian, thank you so much for the question, my friend, and for the super chat. Let's see. I have a blog working on a course with Teachable, fear of leaving stable day job, 19 on email list, 2 drum lesson prospects, 20 equals $65,000. Scared to jump. Any advice? So the advice I would recommend to you, Brian, number one is oftentimes, and I'll set this up with a book, and we got 5 minutes left. I still want to make sure we have over 1,152 comments, by the way. I think that's a record for number of comments in an hour. So thank you so much, Team Flynn. You're amazing. And without even trying, we're very close to 200. But hey, our goal is 150. So we're all good. I'm going to tell you the crying story in just a moment. But anyway, to go back to Brian's question here. Scared to jump. There's a book called Decisive by Chip and Dan Heath. And in this book, it talks about decision making, right? For things like, well, should I quit my job and go all in this business? Or should I not do that and not do that business and stay with my job, right? The thing is, the big lesson in that book is, well, oftentimes we like to have this binary yes or no situation when in fact there's a lot of different decisions that can happen in between. So even in the way you phrased your question, Brian, should I quit my job and go all in on this? Or should I just not do it at all and stick with my job? There's a lot of in-betweens, Brian, that I think you can focus on right now. And I think that with your course and with what you're doing, especially with the high premium value that it is, and likely you're an amazing drummer that can help serve people, because there's not a ton that you need to do to get millions of people in there, you just need a few. Well, you could likely do this sort of on top of your job right now, or in pockets of time that you have, even on the weekend, to go and vet people, find people, get in front of communities, share your expertise, your superpowers in front of other audiences, maybe even start generating ads and copy that you can do to get people in front of this to try to get a beta group, right? I would try to get one person, one result to start. Again, this is the theme for how to get started in business. Even though you're creating this stuff, it's amazing. Try to have one person go in there and give you one result. That's going to give you a really, really amazing testimonial. That's going to give you the experience of what it's like to feed people through. It's also going to give you the confidence to push it out there even more, perhaps even to spend money on ads. Should you choose to want to do that, you don't have to do that. But when you have that one result, it's going to unlock a lot of things in your brain, because yes, I know you're scared, and that's great because it means that this is important to you. It also means that you're excited about it. The same parts of your brain fire up when it's fear and excitement. Literally the same parts of the brain fire up. So we can turn this into excitement as well and realize that what's the worst that can happen? The worst that can happen is you don't launch this thing, even on the side, and it serves nobody and it does you no good. What's the best that can happen? Obviously, so much more. It can create that opportunity later on for you to eventually make that jump should you choose to want to do that. But you don't have to make that binary decision. There's a lot of decisions and sort of room in between the yes, all in, and no, not at all, that you could potentially get into. Wow. So, hey, Team Flynn, you're amazing. Thank you so much for that. I'm going to end on a story here because we are at the top of the hour and I know we all got work to do. First of all, just thank you so much. What an amazing way to start the morning. I am so grateful and thankful for you for being here because you help get me going. You help get me fired up. And in our business at Team SPI and at SwitchPod and at Fusebox and at patflynn.com, a lot of things going on. So we're quite busy. And even though we're in a weird quarantine time, honestly, starting the day here with you makes me so happy and it gets me so fired up. So thank you so much. I appreciate you. And lastly, I want to end on the story and then wish you well for the day. And again, make sure to come in tomorrow. The link, so you never forget, patflynn.com/theincomestream, and also that other link, smartpassiveincome.com/toolkit to get all that free stuff. Again, thank you so much for all you're doing. Yeah, and this is a great recommendation from Sophia as well. Such a personal decision. Listen to Marie Forleo's episode. So she was on the podcast recently, and she has a book called Figure Outable. Like, everything's figure outable. Like, this isn't a stalemate, right? You're going to make this happen, Brian. It's going to be awesome. I'm really excited for you, whichever decision or way you choose to go. But, okay. So this crying story, right? We had a goal. By the way, we have 179 likes already, which is incredible. We're going to get to some website reviews tomorrow, so make sure to pop in 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern. Again, one more time, that link to come join me, patflynn.com/theincomestream. And here's one for the bra crowd in the audience. Did that come through? Bruh. Okay, yeah. I thought I missed it. So here's the story. Superfans came out last year. I launched it at FlynnCon. FlynnCon, unfortunately, is canceled this year, like many other conferences. But yeah, I launched Superfans, and I was working with a company called So New Type Media, yes, New Type Publishing. New Type Publishing allowed my self-published book Superfans to get into bookstores, which was really cool. And they also helped it get into airports. So there's some really interesting things that happen when it comes to these hybrid models. You kind of, to get into the bookstores, like that just kind of happened automatically through their connections. Again, Ryan at New Type Publishing was amazing. And then the airport run was a result of, paying a little bit more. So I paid, I think, $7,000 to get into airports for, I think, 60 days, Hudson Books, around airports. Not probably a smart decision to do right now if you're launching a book, because guess what? Nobody's flying. But it worked out back then. And for the airport stuff, it was really cool because it was more social proof, right? It wasn't an ROI positive on, payments and money, but it was an ROI positive on the social proof aspect of it. But I remember when the book came out and knowing that this thing was in bookstores, when I was traveling, I would not only go into airports and stuff, I would go find the nearest Barnes & Noble in these different places I was traveling to, because I was really interested in just seeing, hey, is Superfans there? Like, just curious to see if it would be there, and it was there, and it was a really amazing experience. And I would often go into these Barnes & Noble and sign a little signature, because you can go into a Barnes & Noble when you have a book published there. You can let them know that you are the author. You have to show your ID, and you can sign the book and then put it back on the shelf, and they'll put a little sticker on it that says signed by author, right? So, I went into the Barnes & Noble here locally after a couple months, because I just wanted to see, hey, is there one here in my local Barnes & Noble? I haven't even tried it yet. So I go in, I find the book, and I go to the counter. I'm like, hey, cool, I found my book, Superfans. I'm the author. Here's my ID, Pat Flynn. I'm the Pat Flynn. And here's a picture of me on the back, which is really cool. So they're like, okay, cool. Like, here's a sticker. Go ahead and sign it. And when I open the front cover to sign it, I see a note in the book. There's literally a note in the book already. And I'm like, who put this in here? And I look at the note, and it's from my dad. And my dad had apparently gone into Barnes & Noble and wrote a note that said something to the likes of, hey, if you're picking up this book, I highly recommend it. I know the author very well. Parentheses, he happens to be my son. And if you enjoy this book and happen to read it, let me know. And I thought that was really cool that he had gone in, my dad had gone into the local Barnes & Noble, found my book, wrote a little endorsement in there for me with a little bit of a dad joke in there too, and popped it back on the shelf. And then I found it, and it made me just bawl in the middle of a Barnes & Noble. So these are happy tears. Very thankful for my parents' support. And the funny part about this is when I got let go in 2008, my dad quickly was the first one to say, hey, you know what? This is your time to go back to graduate school. This is your time to go back to get your master's degree so that you can go and have a better life in architecture after we come out of the recession. And I told him, no, I don't want to do that. I want to be an entrepreneur. This is my new path. And he wasn't the happiest person about that. But he's now one of my biggest fans. And I'm so thankful for my dad, my mom, and my family, especially my wife, April, here, who's done so much to support me on this journey, and especially to you. So that's a story I wanted to share. Even those who don't believe that you can do something can turn around and become your biggest fan. So not that my parents didn't support me, they did. When I chose to go down this route, they were very encouraging. But still, my dad was like, yeah, well, we'll see how long this goes for. Maybe you'll get a real job, one of these points. And of course, my dad helped me pay my way through school. So there was a little bit of like, well, aren't I going to get use out of that or not? And yeah, so Team Flynn, I wanted to share that with you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Karma was asking a question about whether or not I got the money back from the hotel yet for FlynnCon. Not yet. But it's looking like large public gatherings aren't going to happen for a while. And so we might be able to, through force majeure, which is a part in a contract that says if you're unable to, or it is illegal to eventually put on the event, the hotel has to give me my money back. So it's kind of a weird mental situation because I don't want us to have to wait that long. But at the same time, that would help me get my money back and not have to pay $79,000 to the hotel that we booked for FlynnCon for 2020. Anyway, thank you, Team Flynn. You're amazing. We're going to sign off with the song. But before that, as always, hashtag Team Flynn for the win. Use the hashtag TheIncomeStream on Twitter. I'm active there throughout the day for those who offer recaps and just have questions and just want to say hi. Hashtag TheIncomeStream on Twitter. And as always, Quaranteam, you're amazing. Thank you so much. I'll see you tomorrow. And as always, Team Flynn for the win. Peace.
This is the income stream to help you achieve your dream, all while we keep it clean. This is the income stream. It's the kind of show where you can come and go, but then you leave inspired with no fee required. The income stream with Pat Flynn.
Peace out, y'all. Love you.